Hey guys, this is Miss Galloway, and this is a quick little video on how to set up your AP Art History field notebook. So hopefully everything's working on your end. I'm kind of doing this a little bit off kilter here. I'm running this through YouTube Live because otherwise my webcam wasn't wanting to work in the way that I intended. So at any rate, what you need for your AP Art History field notebook is a composition book. The composition book needs to be sewn through the middle. When you look at composition books that you buy, you can see that frequently they divide in half quite nicely. And that's because when you open it up and you look inside, and I'll see how close I can get to the webcam so that you can actually see, you should be able to see stitches, and I think you can right there. So you need to make sure that your composition book is sewn through. The reason being is that we're going to put a lot of papers in here, and it's going to increase the size of the book. It's going to become much, much thicker by the end of the semester. And if the pages aren't sewn in, it's very likely they'll fall out if they're just glued in. It's not a particularly safe way to keep track of your papers. So remember, the purpose of this particular book is to contain all of the works of arts that we study, particularly the 250 for AP Art History. You are probably going to need more than one composition book as time goes on. When that occurs, just let me know and I'll give you the startup materials again. I don't care if you choose to staple them together. I know some other classes have you do things like that. Or if you want them as discrete books, like this was for the first couple of units, this one is for the next couple of units, however works for you. Additionally, I did have a student ask if they needed to take notes or if it was okay if they took notes in their field notebook as well. I really want this to be something that's useful to you. So if it's better for you to simply keep all of your notes in one place, and that includes your field notebook, go for it. However, I'm going to ask that your table of contents only reflect the things that I ask you to put in it, okay? And that's so I can find things quickly without wading through, 27 gazillion entries on, today's class notes, that sort of thing. So let me kind of walk you through this. So the first thing you need to do is you get your composition notebook, make sure it's sewn through. Then I want you to decorate the outside of it. And this is where I want you to be as creative as you like. Get old magazines, get pictures of you and your friends, stickers, whatever, no glitter. No glitter. I kid. You can use glitter if it's well adhered and it won't get all over my desk every 3 seconds, okay? What you probably want to do, however, is cover it over with some adhesive tape. You can see with mine, what I've done here is I've got, I did some terrible things. I bought table top books. I bought like coffee table books from the discount bargain bin at a couple of bookstores, and then I cut them up. We'll be using some of the images in class, but there were a few images that I don't have a particular use for, but I decided would look really cool. So I have made them into the cover of my book. I want your covers to show some personality. I want them to give me an idea of who you are. Like I said, I'm bad at names. It's going to take me a while before I figure out who you are. So if I could kind of get a hint from your field notebooks, that'd be super great. Your cover does, however, need to contain at least this. Oh, is it reversed? That's fun and exciting for you. Well, we'll deal. So at any rate, you can see here that on my cover, I've got AP Art History, Field Notebook, Volume 1, because this is my first book, and then my name, Ms. Galloway. I also have some information on the back, too, which you can include, but it's not required. It says, if lost, please return to room 312. Just in case you misplace your book, it would be good if it wound up back in my classroom, because then I can hunt you down a little bit easier. But do make sure your name is on the cover. It's really, really important. So that's the cover. That's worth 10 points on your grade for this. So do make sure that you do a nice job on it. I'm not going to be grading your artistic ability. Remember, this isn't a visual arts class. It's social studies, technically. But I do want to see a little bit of who you are in the cover. Now, you should have received an envelope. There it is. You should have received an envelope that contained a number of slips of paper in it. One of the slips of paper you will have got says, there, now I think it's focusing for you, using your AP Art History field notebook. Okay, In it, I include a couple of guidelines, things like use color, make sure you stay organized, go back and add in new information even after I've already checked the notebook for that unit, or even after we've finished that unit. There's a section on the analysis sheets, which I will get to in a moment, where it says similar to, different from. And as we go on through the semester, it would be a good idea for you to go back and say, oh, we've now studied this piece of art and it is similar to the Apollo 11 stones, or it's similar to the Venus of Willendorf, or all of those sort of things. Go back and add in those annotations after the fact. So what you need to do is adhere that particular handout, the Using Your AP Art History Notebook, to the interior cover of your book. I strongly suggest using a white craft glue like Elmer's. Don't use hot glue. Hot glue is going to create too much of a ridge and it's probably going to unstick at some point. Or you could use adhesive packing tape. If you use Scotch tape, make sure you do a neat job of it so the edges don't catch and come off. Glue sticks don't work really well. The adhesive is pretty poor. It usually tends to peel off over time. So make sure that that's well adhered to the inside cover of your field notebook. On the back cover, interior cover of your field notebook, that is where your envelope is going to go. This is going to give you a place to put handouts, okay? In particular, your analysis sheets. Now, in the instructions that I gave you guys, I told you that you either need to cut off the top flap or to cover the interior adhesive with tape. That's so that it doesn't glue itself shut, because it will. I found that out through experimentation. I had not anticipated that. So do make sure that you cut that off or that you cover it with tape. Now, if you cover it with tape, you could always still bore through the hole where the brads go, and then you could use it and use the brads to keep things neat and prevent it from spilling out. When I tried to cut mine off after the fact, once I realized that it was adhering, I kind of ruined it. So what I did was I actually, let's see if you can't tell here, I cut my envelope into a nice, oh, I'm sorry, I've got my tablet over here and it's sending me notifications. You can see here that I've got kind of a V cut into the top of my notebook, my envelope here. That's simply because it actually makes it a lot easier to slide in papers, but you don't have to do that. But you do want to make sure that the opening of the envelope is at the top of your notebook. Don't put it at the bottom, because then every time you pick up your notebook, things will fall out. That's not useful. Okay, what you're going to store here is your analysis sheet. So I gave you guys a whole bunch of them, probably about 5 to 8 for each of you. You're gonna need more for the unit, but there's going to be a drawer in the classroom that has an endless stack of them. So every time you need them for homework purposes or you've run out, you can go up there and grab them. But at any rate, that's where you should store your analysis sheets. So when you go home every day and you do a couple of analysis sheets for homework, you always have what you need. Now, if you lose them or you don't have enough and you still need to do more, I'm going to put the file for the analysis sheet up on the blog. I'll put it up on the main page of the blog, but also on the course subject area sections, because there'll be different ones for each unit. Not in terms of their layout, but just in terms of their labels, because I'm picky. But at any rate, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to download those. So if you have a printer at home and you're out of analysis sheets, you can print off a couple. They come 2 to a page, okay? Next. Table of contents. Tables of contents are important because this helps us find what we're looking for. So I gave you kind of an outline as to how I want you to do this. First and foremost, the first 2 full pages in your notebook and set them aside. These are your table of content pages. Do not make them for anything else. All right. So at the top, you need to write table of content on the top of each of those 2 full pages, which is 4 pages front back. Okay. So table of contents goes at the top. Then in the center of the next line down, I want you to write title of work. This is where I'm going to be looking for the works that I'm going to check off. Remember, at the end of the unit, we're going to draw 5. Those are your homework grades for the unit. So you've got to make sure that you've got those 5. I mean, you can choose not to do them, but you're taking your chances because it's entirely possible that those are the ones I check for that unit. So at any rate, the title of work goes here, and then on the, for you, let's see here, on the right-hand side of the page, okay, whatever page you're looking at, that's where you need to label page number, okay? I suggest that you use the natural margins of the line of the paper here to kind of show you where those columns should be. And then on the left-hand side, I want you to put the number of the work. Now, when I say number of the work, what I mean is what the College Board has identified as the number of the work. So like Apollo 11 is, the Apollo 11 stones is work 1, okay? So use that work number simply so that you can find it better in the catalog listing from College Board, and that'll give you a better idea as to where you need to look for information, okay? So please do put those in. I don't care what order the works actually come in your notebook, so long as they're all there. So if you're just kind of flipping through the notebook or flipping through your textbook and just working on what you've got, or you think, I don't really have time to deal with this one because it's very complicated right now, but I can do these 3 instead, and so they're slightly out of order from the way we talk about them in class, that's okay, so long as I can find them in your table of contents. So when you are writing where a piece is, I want the page number, the first page number upon where it appears to be under page number column, okay? So you can see here that what you'll have is 1 page at the front, that's title, that's a table of contents, 2-page spread here, and then 1 more on the back, okay? And that should do us for each notebook. I don't think you'll need more. If you need more, talk to me and I'll show you how to add pages in if you need it. Then, this is where things get obnoxious, and I'm sorry. Then I want you to sit down, and after your table of contents, I need you to number the pages. So go 1, turn the page. Back of that one, page 2, page 3, all the way to the end. Put something on Netflix and just get it done, okay? Pay attention, don't misnumber things. Although, frankly, if you do misnumber it, it doesn't really matter so long as your table of contents reflects that. So if it says 97 and you somehow skipped like 96, it doesn't matter so long as you tell me that it's on the page labeled 97, I will find it, okay? Once you've labeled all of your pages, turn to the page that you have numbered 1. That's going to be the one directly after the last table of contents page. And that's where I want you to glue those small sheets of papers that have information about elements of art and principles of design. If you were absent on Friday, I may need to give you those personally because the PDFs that I can give you guys are full-size sheets of paper. I had to manually shrink them down, so I can't give you the files on the blog here. But at any rate, these need to go into your notebook. You can refer back to them whenever you're doing analysis. It has information about how to think about balance in art, rhythm, what we're looking for when we say things like, you know, pattern or repetition. Those are very useful. Then we get into the meat of the notebook. This notebook, like I said, is really meant for you to have a place where you keep all of your information about the works we study in one place. So what you're going to do is you will have these. These are your analysis sheets, okay? Your analysis sheets need to go in that envelope at the back until you're ready to use them. When you do use them, what you're going to do is you are going to either glue or tape them securely into your notebook on either the left or right-hand side of the page. I chose to put my analysis sheet on the left-hand side of the pages here, on the left page, simply because I'm right-handed and it's a lot easier for me to draw on the right-hand page. So if you're left-handed, you might consider flipping that around, but I don't particularly care where it goes so long as it goes in here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to sit down with your textbook, which you don't have yet. I'm sorry, we'll deal with that on Monday or sometime next week. Or you can get on the resources that I've put up on the blog. There's a lot of information out there that I've linked to through Khan Academy and all sorts of stuff. And you're going to fill out this analysis sheet. Now, you'll notice that I haven't been particularly detailed on this. I've written as much as I can. I've also abbreviated a whole lot because these are notes for me. But you'll notice I have filled out everything except for this, which is similar to and different from, because this is the only work I have in my notebook right now, which means I have nothing to compare it to. Then on the other side, I have drawn my little sketch. Look, it's not gorgeous. It is not perfect. It is not photorealistic, but it is clearly a depiction of the Apollo 11 stones. Now, you'll also notice that I've gone back in and annotated it a little bit, and that's because that's how I work. I mean, just to kind of give you a little bit of, confirmation about that, these are notes from a anthropology course that I took way back in the dark ages when I was in college. And it was an Origin of Humans class. So these are my notes from some study sessions here. So what I was doing was I was drawing from reference pictures, the skulls and the tool making apparatus that I needed to know. And I went back in and annotated it so that I knew what I was looking at. These were not required. This is just for me. So when you're drawing your pictures, I would go back in and add in written details, especially if you're not much of an artist. That's cool. It's all right if it doesn't look exactly like Las Meninas when you're done with it. In fact, if it does, I'm going to be deeply concerned, because how late were you up doing that? So feel free to annotate things, especially about colors, about texture, stuff like that, so that you can keep track of things. Now, just kind of as a side note here before I wrap this up, basically a couple of things about drawing tools, that sort of thing that you have. Where did I put my colored pencils? Okay. So I do require that you have your own set of colored pencils for this class, simply because we're going to do a lot of stuff where you will need color. These are the ones I use. Please do not feel like you have to go out and buy a set of Prismacolors. They are not inexpensive. In fact, this is, believe it or not, the same set I think I got in high school when I was taking art classes. You can see they have been through the wars here. But treat them nicely if you get a good set. But if you just get a regular 12 set of like Crayola, at least you'll have some color references to go off of. Additionally, you probably want to decide whether or not you want to draw in pencil or in pen, or switch between the two in your field notebook. I tend to draw in pencil. Sometimes I'll draw in pen, but not frequently. I usually use just regular, well, they're not exactly regular. I tend to use, hang on, I'm trying to get them out of the box here. I tend to use drawing pencils that are made for drawing. So here we go. So this is an HB2. If you are an artisty type person, that has to do with the hardness of the lead. This is an HB6. So you can use artist pencils if you like, or you can just use a mechanical pencil. I'm not going to require that you use a particular type. If you choose to draw in ink, there are a lot of different good ink pens out there. For the relatively cheap ones, Sharpie Fine Lines are fine. They do pretty well. They will bleed through your composition notebooks, however, so just be aware of that. Especially if you do a lot of cross-hatching or coloring in. So at any rate, that's kind of how I'm thinking of your field notebooks. Let me know if you have any questions. All of the materials, aside from the PDFs on elements of design and elements of art and principles of design, are linked below this embedded video on the blog. So hopefully that'll help you out, and I will see you on Monday, because I think we'll probably be back. I'm looking out the window right now, and I think, barring some sort of horrific, water main break, electrical outage, I think we're back in school on Monday. So I'll see you then. All right, bye.